On this episode of the Small Triumph Sports Library and Archives channel, we're talking Triumph cream and chrome badges. Those used on cars between 1967 and 1970, original versus reproduction, especially as it pertains to the GT6. Some of you may not be interested in such details, but some of you may be in circumstances in which they are important. Say, for example, you're missing one or two badges from your car and you're looking to replace them. Perhaps all of the badges on your car are looking pretty rough and you want to replace the entire set, or maybe you're a concours judge. If you're interested in the differences between original and reproduction badges on the market today, I'm about to cover that with my usual tedious, mind-numbing approach. If you dare to keep watching, I'll see you on the other side of the intro. If there's anybody still out there, thank you for hanging in there. Let me start by explaining why I'm able to create this video. As you may know from previous videos or encountering my exploits elsewhere, I'm currently restoring a 1969 Triumph GT6 Plus. The car came to me with only one of its original badges, the bonnet badge, and as you'll see in a little bit, it's not in terrible shape. The enamel's actually in pretty good shape, but it has certainly lost its luster. So I immediately went out knowing that I was missing two badges and got a set of reproduction badges from a US vendor. And when I received them, I was extremely disappointed in the quality of them. And that led me into doing research on what is available out there and what the quality of it is. I became aware that of the GT6 specific badges that are on the market, there are no high quality reproductions available that I'm aware of. And that leaves you with fewer options than you have for a TR250 or a TR5. But I'm beginning to get ahead of myself. First of all, let me go ahead and establish the parts in question here. So here are the GT6 badges that are the focus of this video, or a particular focus of this video, with the factory part numbers. And these badges were used on the GT6 for the 1969 and 1970 model years. Production of those cars occurring between July 1968 and December 1970. You can see the bonnet badge. There is a Triumph badge, sometimes referred to as a house badge. That badge is shared with the TR250 and TR5. And then there is a smaller boot badge, as it's generally called, that appears on the back of the roof line. I'm showing you the GT6 Plus badges that were used in the American market, specifically for the North American market, although my understanding is the badges were used elsewhere as well. But at the bottom there, I also have the GT6 Mark II badges and their part numbers. Those were used in the UK and other markets. With these years, we have that issue where the car was known as a GT6 Plus in the US and other markets, and as the GT6 Mark II in the UK and other markets. And of course, we have a similar issue with the TR250 and the TR5. So it's important to note that the GT6 badges we're discussing are actually derivative of those that first appeared on the TR5/TR250. And here's the information on the TR250 badges. And then at the bottom, the TR5 badges. The The TR250 and the TR5 were essentially the same car, except for the TR5 used Lucas fuel injection that would not pass emission standards in the US. So the car for the US was called the TR250 and was carbureted. But I do want to emphasize that the original cream and chrome badges are these that were used on the TR250 and TR5. And then when the GT6 Plus / Mark II was introduced, the decision was taken somewhere along the line to use the same type of cream and chrome badges that were being used on the TR250 and the TR5. At the fore of this image is my original GT6 Plus bonnet badge. Again, this is the only original badge that came with my car. As I stated before, it's not too bad, but it's lost its luster. You can see some of the tarnish on the chrome part there, how that shiny chrome aspect of it is kind of worn off on the top of the badge, and so forth and so on. Behind my original badge in this image is the poor reproduction badge available at most vendors. If you can tell the difference between the ways the originals appeared and these reproductions, you will be able to quickly spot images of these poor reproduction badges on various vendor websites. Please note that I'm not demeaning these vendors. For the GT6 specific badges, these reproductions seem to be all that's available. And whether for the GT6 or the TR5/TR250, the poor reproductions could be all the vendors can readily get from suppliers, or all they can get at a price point at which they feel like they can sell them. That said, in this image, you can hopefully already see the sharp contrast between an original badge and the ubiquitous poor reproductions. Here's a quick shot of the backs of the badges. So you can see the difference between an original and a reproduction. This time the original badge is at the top and the reproduction is at the bottom. So that gives you a sense about the different ways in which the badges were made. Let's further clarify the differences by adding into the mix a new old stock item. So here we have a new old stock badge at the fore, my tarnished original in the middle, and the common poor reproduction in the back. Note that the new old stock item has a beautiful chrome quality to the lettering and border. You should get a nice reflection in these parts of the badge. Note too that the lettering is below the surface of the cream enamel on the new old stock badge, on the original badge, and on the cheaper reproduction at the top, the characters are actually raised above the surface of cream plastic filling. I've also heard that the plastic filling in these reproductions can shrink over time and pull away from the edges of the metal. Also, the characters of the originals are crisp, while the characters on the cheap reproduction are rather blobby, for lack of a better term. And the lettering and border of these reproductions, they're kind of shiny in a certain light, but in other lights they have a little bit more of a pewter quality. They don't quite have the same reflective mirror type quality of the originals. So here's a close-up of the common cheaper reproduction showing the lettering and the plastic. And by the way, these cheaper reproductions are on the marketplace for the TR5 and TR250 as well. But there are nicer reproductions on the market for the TR5, TR250 specific badges. There are not nicer reproductions that I'm aware of these GT6 specific badges. Here's a close-up of the new old stock item. Again, the lettering is sharp and crisp, highly reflective, and inset in the cream. To my knowledge, there is only one U.S. supplier that sells high-quality cream and chrome Triumph badges, and that's the Roadster Factory for the TR250, which means that you can get a high-quality reproduction of the Triumph badge for a GT6. At one time, this must have been, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, but at one time, the late Charles Runyon offered to manufacture GT6 Plus badges, but he was looking for commitments at a price point he was unlikely to get. He said that he needed commitments for sale of about 40 badges at $150 to $200 per badge. I'll note that there is a UK eBay vendor that sells what appear to be high quality TR5 TR250 badges at pretty reasonable prices. That includes the Triumph badge that is shared with the GT6, but I've never seen those in the flesh. And of course, there may be others out there selling high quality reproductions that I'm not aware of, but I've never seen high quality reproductions of the GT6 specific cream and chrome badges. Here is an image of the Roadster Factory's Reproduction Triumph badge with a new old stock GT6 Plus boot badge. The Roadster Factory Reproduction is beautiful. It is really nice looking, but it is expensive. I think it currently retails for about $200. And as you can see in this image, the cream color is a shade or two lighter than what you'll see on a new old stock badge. Likely the color is perfect for adding a badge to a car with pre-existing badges that have been out in the sun a fair bit, but it's not an exact color match for an original that's not been exposed to the elements. Still, it's a very nice badge. In comparison with the cheap production, well, you know, honestly, there's not a whole lot of comparison. This particular image is the cheaper reproduction against the new old stock badge. You can see that the color seems to be closer with the cheap reproduction, although frankly, in certain lights, you can see that the cheaper reproduction is a little more of a pale yellow color than the cream of the new old stock badge. And here is the Roadster Factory's reproduction at the fore of this image versus the cheaper reproduction behind it, and I think you can very clearly see the differences there. And there is no doubt that the Roadster Factory's badge is very close to what the original appeared, or how the original appeared. So if you're in the market for a really nice set of original style GT6 specific cream and chrome badges, your best bet, and it's not a great bet, but your best bet is to be on the lookout for either new old stock items or nice used items. Neither of those things pop up on the market very often, but new old stock will pop up from time to time. I'm not sure how much is still out there, but I do see new old stock badges appear occasionally. Nice used badges are hard to find. Most of the used badges on the marketplace are tarnished and have suffered a good bit of wear. So it's hard to find nice used ones, but I do see some pop up from time to time. Of course, restoring your original badges is an option as well. If you search the internet, you can find entire outfits that are devoted to the restoration of automotive badges. My understanding is that they can do amazing and beautiful work. My understanding also is that it can be a little bit pricey. For the intrepid home restorer, you can find instructions for how to restore your own automotive badges online. And you know, people are able to do that with various levels of success, but I've seen home restorers do a great job with their badges. In fact, I read a online journal entry fairly recently by a gentleman who's restoring a GT6 Plus, and he took one of his GT6 badges that was pretty tarnished. The enamel on it was pretty good, but the chrome part was tarnished, and he, I believe, sanded down the chrome part, cleaned it really well, and used nickel plating to bring back the luster of the badge, and based on the photos, really achieved very nice results. So it is possible to restore the badges and make them look very nice at home. Of course, the cheap reproductions that are on the market, are an option, and they're better than nothing. And some of you out there may not care that they don't look exactly like the original or what have you. My purpose in making this video is to make sure that people are aware that the reproduction badges on the market are different. They're made differently. They're made with lower quality materials, and there are questions about their durability, and just overall they're just not as nice looking. But you do have a variety of options. Depends on how important originality is to you, how patient you are, how much money you have to spend, whether or not you feel like you have the skills necessary to restore your own badges, and so forth and so on. There are a variety of options on the table. That's it for this episode. I am starting to get into summer, so I'm going to be able to devote more time to video production, and I hope to be on a schedule where I'm able to produce videos a little more frequently than I've been able to over the last couple of months. I do have a review of a handmade by Dash coming up pretty soon, hopefully within about a week and a half. I am going to produce a little update, a little progress report on my own GT6 project, and I have several other things that are in the pipeline that I'm excited about. So we'll see what how quickly I'm able to roll things out, but for now I know that I should be on a better schedule than I've been on for a little while now that it is summer. Thank you for watching. I hope to be back with another video soon. Thanks.